So here's the thing, calories count when it comes to losing fat, but you don't have to count your calories to lose fat. And for a lot of people, this is a big relief. Some people don't want to track calories, and for others, tracking calories just provides more psychological stress that ends up making weight loss a lot harder. Now, I don't personally feel that way because I do track my calories and I'm pretty content doing so. It gives me a sense of accomplishment when I see that I am being consistent. But I also recognize that my goals and my overall lifestyle are different than most people. And most people, such as yourself perhaps, just want to lose fat and get healthy. The key to doing this without having to track calories ultimately comes down to finding ways to keep yourself full throughout the day or reduce your food intake through a consistent period of time. To be successful in this, you need some knowledge of nutrition that you can apply into your habits. And this ultimately allows you to have both the flexibility and sustainability to lose fat and also keep that fat off. So here are 4 tips to losing fat without having to track your calories. So the first tip is understanding food choices. The greater the understanding of foods and how certain types affect your hunger levels, the easier it will be to lose weight without having to count your calories. And this is because foods that tend to keep you full are foods that are also going to be hard to overeat, which sounds simple enough, right? Now, if I were to ask you what foods you should avoid when it comes to losing weight, you'd probably say something like pizza, fries, alcohol, burgers, cake or cookies, what have you. And while these foods are usually the culprit for weight gain because they are high in calorie and they don't keep you full for very long, it's also the amount you eat. So what it comes down to is understanding simple replacements for these foods. For starters, increase your protein intake, particularly lean protein like chicken or turkey. Not only are these low in calories, they'll keep you full. Because protein is the most satiating macronutrient, and if you increase the amount, it becomes very difficult to overeat. Additionally, keeping your protein intake high is recommended if you are someone who wants to preserve as much muscle mass as possible. Now, ideally, try and include vegetables with each meal you eat. Vegetables not only contain vitamins and micronutrients, but they are also incredibly low in calorie and high in volume. You can pretty much eat as much as you want, provided that you aren't dousing them with dressing or oil. Take a look at this comparison. Here's a bag of spinach that totals 50 calories, and here's 1 serving of walnuts at 180 calories. Now tell me, which do you think you could finish easily, and which do you think would actually keep you full? I'll let you answer that. Okay, another benefit of vegetables, and this will also extend to unrefined carb sources, is fiber. Fiber, at least soluble fiber, is very low in calories. It also promotes healthy bowel movements and is correlated with lowering cholesterol, among other things. But for the purpose of weight loss, it's another source of food that keeps you full for a longer period of time. So as you can see, the requisite knowledge of knowing which foods to prioritize the majority of the time will naturally allow you to consume your meals without having to really worry too much about tracking calories. And just to be clear, the quote-unquote bad foods that I mentioned above, those don't really cause you to gain weight. It's the amount that you eat relative to your caloric maintenance which causes weight gain. I personally, for one, don't cut these foods out. I love them. I just make sure to limit them to about 10 to 20% of my diet. And tip number 2 is to reduce liquid calories. Now, your first thought might be alcohol, and I wouldn't be opposed to limiting that since even a 12-ounce beer, for instance, contains 150 calories. However, this tip includes more than just alcohol since it's not the only culprit. The main reason for limiting your liquid calories is how easy it is to consume them. Let's take coffee, for instance. Coffee has 0 calories, yet once you begin adding cream and sugar, you can quickly rack up a lot of calories. Non-diet sodas, for instance, are loaded with sugars, and the calories from those sugars are just another contribution to your caloric intake that you could have either replaced with something like water or, something else. A cup of juice from the grocery store contains calories as well, and a lot of people don't consider that, but it does. Calories that sneak in through beverages are usually forgotten, and when drinks are marketed as being healthy or good for you, it gives a false sense of security that the calories from those beverages don't really matter. But they do. Reducing your liquid calories not only eliminates a potential easy source of loading up on calories, but it's also one less thing to worry about, especially if you already don't want to worry about tracking calories. So the third tip to losing weight without having to track your calories is understanding your hunger levels. This basically means allowing yourself to eat a meal when you are hungry, but also recognizing whether that hunger is for food or to satisfy a craving. And I bet a lot of you already know where I'm probably gonna go with this, but here's a quick example. So let's say that throughout the day, you get a craving for something sweet. For me, it's usually a pastry or a donut or, maybe a cookie. Now ask yourself this question. would you feel satisfied if you replaced this craving with a fruit or something like yogurt? Because if the answer is no, odds are it's your mind that's craving something rather than your body. And that's something that everyone just has to deal with. I'm sorry, I deal with that as well. Now, if you have these intermittent cravings throughout the day and you give into them, you have to realize that these little snacks that you munch on throughout the day, they do contribute calories and they do make a difference between losing, maintaining, or even gaining weight. At some point, you have to realize you'll have to keep track of these foods, even if you aren't tracking these calories. And one way to solve this problem is to first recognize that A, you have a goal, and that's to lose fat. And then B, the next thing is to then time your meals. And by that, I mean allowing yourself to skip a meal if you aren't hungry, or wait to have a proper meal even if you are slightly hungry. Not only does this prevent you from giving into your cravings, but after you've had a proper meal, you probably won't be hungry for a snack. Remember, you may not need to track your calories to lose fat, but you still need to find a reliable way to keep yourself in a consistent and sustainable calorie deficit. And the fourth and final tip is to eat out less. Now, before I go any further, I want to remind you that the advice I've given you so far hasn't been to remove anything from your diet, because I don't find that reliable. Instead, I've been trying to help you identify and limit certain things or foods that will make losing weight without tracking your calories much easier and more sustainable. And so by extension, the same goes with eating out. If you're someone who enjoys a night out or likes, being social during the weekends, you don't have to give that up. But it does mean you might need to limit how much you are eating out. Maybe eat out only when you're at a planned social event, and then for the rest of the week or for the rest of the day, prepare your own meals. By doing this, you're giving yourself the type of balance that allows you to enjoy eating the foods you like when you're out with your friends, while also practicing moderation for the majority of your meals. And remember this, foods in restaurants can be quite high in calories, and most people tend to underestimate the amount of calories a particular meal might have. Now, a lot of restaurants have gone through the extra effort to include the amount of calories for each meal, which makes it convenient to give yourself a ballpark of how much you're eating. But if you've changed your habits to simply eat out less, well, then that means that you have less that you need to worry about when you're trying to lose fat. Okay, folks, that's about it. While these are my 4 tips for losing fat without having to track your calories, you can believe that there are plenty of other tips out there that might also help. Instead of tracking calories, the goal in this video is essentially a modification in behavior and understanding of food. While none of these tips are actually required to lose fat, I think a lot of us can benefit from at least one of these points. So if you have any questions, comments, or just, things to add, leave them down below and I'd love to start a conversation. But until then, I'll see you all next time.